years ago, in England, Parliament enacted a law forbidding the assembly of Christians calling themselves separatists. Many were imprisoned. Some were martyred. Others fled to foreign lands. One small group left Holland after 15 years in exile and set sail for the Virginia colony in the New World. A navigational error brought them to the shores of Massachusetts, where they established a colony called Plymouth. The Congregational churches in America, including those like our own within the United Church of Christ, trace their spiritual ancestry directly to the separatist pilgrims. Through the years, Congregationalists have been leaders in higher education, world missions, and social justice. Congregational means that local churches are not bound by the authority of bishops and councils, but are free to determine the will of Christ for themselves. In the 1740s, England and her American colonies were profoundly shaken by a spontaneous religious revival. Instrumental in this great awakening was the English evangelist George Whitefield, who often preached in fields to crowds of over 20,000 and visited America 7 times. Another key figure in shaping New England theology during this period was the Reverend Jonathan Edwards, pastor of the Congregational Church in Northampton, Massachusetts. Our early church records show the extent to which our first members were influenced by Edwards' thought. In 1768, worshippers in Windsor and Cornish united under one covenant and called a pastor the Reverend James Wellman. A meeting house was built near the site of the old Trinity Church in Cornish. Wellman's home still stands about a mile south of the covered bridge. Every third Sunday, the faithful parson crossed the bridgeless Connecticut to minister the word in Windsor. Legend has it that he sometimes arrived in the pulpit, dripping wet. Theological differences prompted the Windsor residents to withdraw in 1774 and establish a congregation of their own on the western side of the Connecticut. The Articles of Discipline of the New Windsor Parish required satisfactory evidence be given of grace in the heart and holiness of life. It also specified that baptism is to be administered to the children of church members and to no others. Members took their covenant seriously and held one another accountable for such responsibilities, and keeping the Sabbath and teaching the faith to children. Soon after the new congregation was formed, the American Revolution took many of Windsor's sons away to battle, including Israel Curtis, operator of the local grist mill. Nevertheless, God sustained the fledgling church. In 1777, a simple Puritan meeting house was built just south of the present building. It was here that the convention met which later drew up Vermont's first Constitution. Shortly after, a new minister arrived, the Reverend David Tuller, who pastored both the Windsor and Cornish churches for 7 years. His successor, the Reverend Benjamin Bell, was accused of unchristian conduct and eventually excommunicated in 1795. The church found itself without regular pastoral leadership for the next 10 years. By the turn of the century, while Windsor was increasing in prominence among the communities of Vermont, the original meeting house was falling into disrepair. In 1798, the present meeting house was erected at a cost of $5,000. Designed by Windsor resident Asher Benjamin, the building reflects the changes of several renovations. During the restoration in 1923, evidence was uncovered of a Palladian window in the west wall and 7 sets of windows on the north and south walls. The sanctuary was originally all one floor, with galleries on 3 sides and a high pulpit reached by staircases on either side.